is time once again for In the Know, where we give you all the information you need to know about the weather around the world and in your home. Now, there has been a lot of talk recently of avalanches, especially with the Olympics going on over in Italy. This is footage from Italy of one such case. The people in this video were all right, but there have been numerous fatalities and many rescue efforts to save victims of avalanches, because there have been many recently in the Alps, Swiss Alps, as well as the Austrian Alps, and of course in Italy. And here you can see some of the efforts that are put forward to rescue people, victims of avalanches. And we are not immune to avalanches in Canada either, of course. And here was some information about that. Meteorologist Nadine Powell. We talk about avalanches every winter, especially when it comes to our ski resorts and BC mountains.
Yeah, certainly. But of course, we've been talking about what's been going on in Europe with the Alps. And the Alps are just one of those regions around the world where, many outdoor enthusiasts, skiers and snowboarders, take to the hills, the mountains to enjoy the snowfall. And, just taking a look at where we've had those avalanches recently, many of them outside of the, certainly the Olympic venues. But we're seeing here some of the footage in Italy. You can see there in the distance the avalanche as it came down. And like you were mentioning, Ward, many of those have been on the deadly side. And more footage here for us of avalanches. In the foreground, we've got skiers, but certainly you can see in the background there as that avalanche comes tumbling down, Ward. And Ward, I was in Banff a couple years ago, and I remember going to Lake Louise, and part of the park was closed off because of avalanche danger. And you could hear it in the distance, a very frightening sound.
And a lot of people don't really know about what causes them. For a long time, people thought it was noise. We've all seen the movies or commercials where a noise causes an avalanche or whatever. But how does this normally happen?
Well, perhaps noise in terms of the vibrations, but there are other things that certainly have to be in place at first. A lot of the times, terrain certainly one of those factors that is unchanging. And you can see here, speaking of terrain, in Switzerland, just to the left of the screen, we had this avalanche that covered over the tracks, and that caused a train derailment. But luckily, in this instance, there were no fatalities, but you can see here the train just being toppled on its side. And of course, that location had to be closed. But you mentioned, Ward, the formation of the avalanches. You have new snow over old snow, and certainly that on very steep terrain that creates an instability in the snowpack. And it can be triggered by several things, of course, human activity as well as natural avalanches. Avalanche. And you can see here, Ward, avalanche. In Lake Louise, you hear the call, avalanche, avalanche, and you see just the snow being taken out from under the skier and snowboarder there. I think in this instance, that individual was okay. But taking a look at some of the stats across Canada in terms of avalanche fatalities, during the winter, definitely, and the spring. And you can see there, March is the deadliest month for avalanche fatalities because of a combination of factors. Certainly, snowfall adding weight to the pack. Wind can sometimes destabilize that pack. And getting into the spring, when we've got fluctuations in solar radiation as well as temperature, that can certainly destabilize the pack and increase the likelihood of avalanches that we see in many mountainous terrain.